Okay, all right. Cloud of witnesses. Okay, I am outside Hamby Elementary, and when you just realize that God is doing something and has done something, and it hits you, and it doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing, or even if you're not camera ready or whatever, you just kind of got to stop and testify. So that's kind of what's happening. It was the funniest, silly little thing that kind of triggered this revelation. I knew that my kids had been blessed with exceptionally gifted, wonderful teachers. And I appreciated that. But it wasn't until this morning that it hit me that this sort of thing just does not happen without an external force acting upon the world. It just doesn't happen by coincidence. I mean, I'm a statistician. Like, I do odds and probabilities in my head just automatically. I like to think, okay, what are the odds of this just being a coincidence? And, is it significant? Is there something going on there? Is there a relationship between these events? And I can't get over that God somehow has given both my babies two exceptionally anointed, gifted teachers, each in a row. One at Head Start, where I never thought that we would go to Head Start. The income threshold is very, very low, and we're fortunate that even school teacher income exceeds that. But because of our rough situation where we were technically homeless, we were allowed to enroll Karen in Head Start around the corner from where Jake worked, because we didn't know where we were going to land. I couldn't find a house for us. I couldn't work. And I just needed to get her squared away. And, her teachers are just incredible. And Owen had the most gifted teacher last year, Miss Acosta. And, oh man, lightning struck twice. And I just started thinking about that. I was very fortunate. I had Miss Bowling in the 1st grade, and I had Miss Butler in the 5th grade. And my sister had Miss Welch in the 5th grade, and Mr. Grice in high school. And these people were so special to her that when she found out that she was dying, we started trying to look up those two people. So it's not uncommon for people to have a special teacher, even 2 special teachers. But how is it that we are 2 for 2 for 2 kids when it comes to teachers, that this is not explained by the fact that these are trained, educated, experienced professionals? Because you can be highly trained, well-educated, and have years of experience, and there is absolutely no way you can just have the effortless peace and skill and everything that these people have. It's like magic. Like, I can't explain it. And we finally found this house after our brief, situation where we were homeless for 3 months. And this was in walking distance from our house, which is wonderful because, we have Jake 15 minutes away and Sissy right around the corner from him. When I walked Owen in, and Miss Acosta, his kindergarten teacher, was completely in control of what appeared to be a toddler dance party. Kids were learning, kids were dancing, kids were having fun, and it was not chaos. It was not goofing off. She was clearly aware of everything happening, and everything served a purpose. I just couldn't explain it. And I remember seeing this thinking, man, I wish I could go in there. At that time, I just met her. I had no idea how amazing she was. And this year, Owen has Mrs. Lieb, and oh my goodness, that woman is his Mrs. Bowling. And I just think, okay, I had two great teachers, and I'm very blessed for that. But my kids have had nothing but great teachers, and Sissy hasn't technically even started school yet. How do you explain that? Besides Jesus doing Jesus stuff, you can't explain that any other way. And I knew that God allowed us to go through the hardship we went through in order to bless us in the long run, because we couldn't have afforded to put Sissy in preschool here because it's on a sliding scale with Jake's income. I have to have childcare for her in order to work for money, but I can't work for money unless I have childcare for her. And you can't work from home if you don't have a home when I was homeless, and especially not if you have a toddler running around. And Owen had lost so much. We left everything he knew to go to San Antonio, and then, right when he settled in there, we moved again. So I was not going to put him through just putting him in school somewhere and making him leave those friends, or making him miss out on having neighborhood friends where he could just walk to their house the way he does now. And the ability to commute to wherever we may put him in school so he could stay with his friends was not logistically possible. That's why I homeschooled him, because it was so important not to take anything away. And I did not know God was going to give us a home, a house, within walking distance, where we walk with our neighbors to and from school. He's got the most beautiful relationships. So that just few months of really difficult sanctifying, and I call everything I hate sanctifying, but this literally was sanctifying. That time, I could see how God had used it to bless us so much, because when we found a place, I immediately reported it to Head Start saying, okay, well, now that we're no longer homeless, I'm guessing I need to find other arrangements. And I did not know how on earth I was going to. And they said, no, you have 2 years, regardless of income, no questions asked, to get up on your feet, which is wonderful, because we were still not necessarily stable. So basically God provided, the childcare we needed, the grace we needed through Head Start. So I was able to get where I am today, and things are going really, really wonderful. It's still a struggle, but we're getting there. So I could see what God had done, but I didn't really catch all of it, because I just don't think you can have 2 kids with 2 teachers, both in a row. Do the compound math on that. What are the odds of having exclusively, exceptionally gifted, anointing teachers that love our kids so much? And I would have gone through everything we went through, because God used that little bit of pain, that hardship, to bless my kids for the rest of their stinking life. This helps us logistically, but these teachers are not going to be forgotten. They love these kids too much. Owen still talks about, I love Miss Acosta. I want to tell her that, but I think everyone else will make fun of me. He still says these sorts of things. He still colors her pictures. That's so sweet. I know some things defy odds and are legit not related. I was just thinking, November 23rd is a very significant day for me. I always remember my best friend's birthday, Justin, because it was on the same day that a year before I met Justin, my mom had her personal decision to get sober. She struggled with alcohol genetically. It was a really hard thing for her. So it was always easy to remember celebrating her and celebrating him. But it was also the day that my sister died 2 years ago. And if you ignore that inconvenient whole leap year thing, I can do the math, odds of two things happening on the same day, 1 in 365, but three separate things, we're looking at like 1 in 48 million. And yet those things are not related at all. My mom's sobriety had nothing to do with my best friend being born 20 years earlier. And neither of those things had anything whatsoever to do with my sister departing this earth on that day either. I get some things are just coincidental. There's no greater meaning to it. But I don't think that it's possible for my kids to have been blessed the way they were blessed with the teachers at this very important age, in our hardest time, in our grief, in our hardest struggle, that they've already got that special relationship that, some, only see once, maybe, in the later elementary school or maybe high school, or I just don't think I can say, oh, well, isn't that lucky that both my babies this year and last year just happen to have different teachers each year, both of them. That's 4 different exceptional teachers for 2 different kids in a row. This is not something you can really do odds for, because we really don't know what the likelihood of having an anointed exceptional teacher is, let alone what the odds of having them 2 in a row. But I'm just incredibly grateful for my babies, because I think God did this on purpose. And I know there's nothing that's not foreseen by Him and not designed and oriented around our greater good now and in eternity. I know that. But I also know that life just kind of takes its course in many ways. Not everything has some deeper meaning. Not everything is divinely put together for some sort of, significance that I've got to figure out what it is. No, there are coincidences. This ain't 1. This ain't 2. This ain't 4. That's all I'm saying. I'm just really grateful, and might try to figure out some way to mathematically prove it. Like, we can't prove anything, but the standard of what is a relationship that we know is not coincidence is a less than 5% chance that the 2 variables that we're looking at were caused by something other than a relationship with each other. That's that 0.05 thing. I really don't think it's possible for all of these stars to align without there being some sort of external influence that designed this for us. This is not luck. Even if it were luck, I can be grateful. I can be grateful for it. But it's not. I really think this is a gift that God knew He was going to give the kids, but that He gave it to them on purpose, and He gave it to us on purpose. So I just want to praise His name. God is good all the time. And also, man, I'm going to go, comb this hair and put on some makeup. All right. Peace be with y'all. Thanks for listening.